All right, welcome to another skills video with Sydney and Sam. Today we're going to be talking about check the facts. And this is the first skill for changing our emotional response. So we've done the work of noticing the emotion both with mindfulness and with the model of emotions. And now we're going to look at, okay, now that we have all the pieces of emotion, what are we going to do with them? So just to orient you, these are handouts 8 and 8A. I have them attached below, or you can find them in your skills binder. Let's dive into a mindfulness practice today. And I first want to say we all, even or especially therapists, experience self-judgments and thoughts that are really just not helpful for us. And we can think of check the facts, the skill we'll be talking about, as somewhat a cognitive intervention. So for our mindfulness practice, we are going to attend to our thoughts and bring all of our attention there and see what happens when we spend time just noticing even painful thoughts. So I'm going to ask you all to get in mindful positions. You can go ahead and close your eyes for this practice. And I'll have you start by centering your attention on your breath. Now, bring your attention to my voice. As we move through this practice, you may notice distractions. You may find your mind jumping from thing to thing. All of that is okay. Just notice and bring it back. What I'm going to do now is read out a series of statements, and I'm going to give you space to just sit with each one. So bring full mindful awareness to each statement that I'm just about to say. There is something wrong with me. I am unlovable. If I love someone, they will leave me. The world is a dangerous place. I am not good enough. Now, take a moment to redirect your attention to your breath. Try to unhook from any of those thoughts that you've gotten caught in, and just bring mindful awareness to your exhale. All right, you can go ahead and open your eyes, bring your attention back to the room. So Sam, some people find this really, really hard to sit with thoughts like these. How was it for you as you tried to bring your full attention to these thoughts?
It's definitely a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the body sensations that I noticed that I felt like I was kind of curling into a ball.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like my breaths were a lot more shallow,
Mm-hmm.
and my heart rate was really pounding.
Mm-hmm. I love that description and excellent awareness of your body trying to protect you, right? Going into that little curled up fetal position, protect you from those painful thoughts. Exactly, spot on. And part of mindfulness and part of what we're trying to do, and something that we are all practicing, is noticing these thoughts without getting attached to them and caught up in them, and being able just to take them as thoughts and stop ourselves from ruminating on them or getting swept away in them and altering our behavior as a result. So let's shift into our kind of didactic portion for check the facts. So again, this is handout 8 if you need it. And what we're noticing, and now what we've talked about with this video and the model of emotions video, is that our thoughts impact how we experience emotions. Again, thoughts are not emotions, emotions are not thoughts, but they play off of each other. Okay? And I have an example for you. Sam and I have been applying to practicum placements lately, which is just our next year's worth of clinical work. And I had my first interview this round. And if you don't know this, I'm later on in the program. So I've done this a couple of times, wasn't really worried about it. But my first interview didn't go the way that I had wanted. And I had a lot of self-judgment, and a lot of the thoughts going through my mind were like, well, you really screwed that one up. And oh, there goes my career as a rehabilitation psychologist. Might as well quit now. And those sort of thoughts contributed to me feeling very, very anxious and very ashamed. Like I was really ashamed by my performance. So, case in point, right? Our thoughts impact our emotions. Okay, so check the facts. The skill that we are going to introduce now helps us get in contact with facts, even when we are noticing really strong emotions or caught up in a difficult situation. And we are trying to decide whether our emotional response needs to be changed. And we do that by figuring out if our emotion is justified. And I'll pause here and say every emotion is valid. Everything that you feel is valid. There is a reason for it, there is a cause for it. It is valid. It is not, however, always justified. And I will explain to you the difference. So I got this video from Marsha Linehan, or this example from Marsha Linehan, who is the founder of DBT. And I want you all to imagine right now that you walk into your bedroom this evening and there is a tiger in your bedroom. Okay? Obviously, you freak out, you run away. Hopefully, don't try to fight the tiger. Please slam the door, whatever it is, right? And you notice fear. That instant when you are in there, when you see that tiger, which is a very real threat to your life, and when you experience fear there, that is justified, right? Because there is actually a threat to your life in this moment. However, I can imagine, or at least I would do this, I bet you would too. Next time you try to go to your bedroom at night, or to your bedroom in general, you're probably going to notice fear, right? So valid, right? So valid. But let's imagine as you're walking to your bedroom after this has occurred, this is a separate day, the tiger got removed by the animal people safely in a zoo. And so no tigers there. So you're walking into your bedroom, you experience fear, it's valid. No tigers in the bedroom. So Sam, is your fear justified?
No,
No, why not?
because there is not a direct threat that is there.
Yes. Your life is not in danger by yesterday's tiger. Okay, just like my life is not in danger from yesterday's job interview. Okay, so it is not justified. It is valid. We understand why you have fear, but it is not justified, because once we check the facts and realize there is no tiger in your bedroom, right? We know that fear is actually not warranted. Another way to put it. Okay, so we can do check the facts in the literal as a very cognitive exercise, right? I can see if the tiger is in the bedroom. That is one way to check the facts. And one of the ways we do that is by practicing our describe skills. And this can actually be very regulating in and of itself. So Sam, do you have an example of when you checked the facts and it served to regulate your emotions?
I absolutely do. I remember when I submitted my first conference proposal to my advisor, and she returned it covered in markups and feedback.
We
And
have all been there, Sam.
yes. And I just felt my heart drop, and I was thinking, she must think this is garbage. She's so disappointed in me. I should never try to present research again. And then I remembered my check the facts scale. I pulled out my worksheet.
And I just want to pause. She actually does this. Like, this is literally something we do. Good. Sorry, keep
I,
going.
I actually pulled up my worksheet to find what these thoughts were. Yes, so I pulled out my worksheet and I checked the facts. And the facts were that my advisor cared enough to put that time in to give me feedback. And all of her feedback was factual and it did help improve my paper. And also, I noticed that I really respect her and look up to her, and I want her to be impressed with me. And I also have the fact that within our lab, she is known for giving very thorough feedback on things. And so after checking those facts, I felt a bit more relieved. I also felt a little bit more confident.
Mhm.
And I felt like I could conquer those revisions instead of avoiding them. And then fast forward a couple months later, it was accepted to the conference, and all of that panic was not justified.
I love it. Excellent example, both because I think we have all been there where we've gotten feedback that is really hard to hold. And yeah, notice the panic, notice what it was, right? Why it was there, because you had all these thoughts that were telling you that, you had done bad work or whatever. And notice just by checking in with the facts that helped to change your emotions. All right. You started to notice gratitude. You started to notice other things. So check the facts in and of itself as a cognitive exercise can work to change our emotions. Check the facts also serves as a building block for us to the other emotion regulation skills. And so by figuring out with check the facts if our emotions are justified, right? All valid, but whether they are justified, um, we can figure out how to change our emotions if we need to be changing our emotions. So I am going to share with you um, a brief example, and Sam's going to walk us through. We'll try to be snappy with it. And I'm just going to ask you to follow along and think about how you might use this on your own. Okay, you see this worksheet, Sam?
Yes.
All right, so why don't you give me the situation that we are talking about today?
The same one that we just did, or a new one?
We can do the same one.
Okay.
That's probably
So
okay.
getting that feedback from my advisor.
Yes. So she gets feedback from advisor. And Sam, what was the emotion you initially labeled?
I think shame and embarrassment.
Right? Shame and embarrassment. Strong emotions. I can't spell, that's okay. Okay, and what sort of thoughts, assumptions, or interpretations were you making?
I was assuming that she was disappointed in me.
Mhm.
And I was also thinking that my research is garbage.
Notice those strong judgments.
Yes.
And I had the same experience when I walked out of that interview the other day. So, Sam, what is the threat or the fear? And this is a really fun question to ask ourselves because oftentimes the anticipated worst case outcome is what kind of drives our emotion up in the moment. So, what do you think is the worst that could have happened?
That she would kick me out of her lab and I
Yeah,
wouldn't have an advisor anymore.
right. And I don't know if your mind does this, but I would have been like, oh, gonna get kicked out of the lab, gonna get kicked out of grad school, gonna, you know, lose, I don't know, everything that I have worked for and end up homeless or something is probably where my mind would go, to be honest. Not that there's anything wrong with being homeless. I work with that population a lot and really appreciate Okay, what was the intensity of your shame?
I would say maybe 65.
65. So it's pretty up there on the 0 to 100 scale. And now we're going to ask, does her emotions, do they fit the facts? And so to do that, I'm going to share with you something else. And this is the Check the Facts handouts. And so I would like to share with you the other handout if I can make this work. There we are. And so we are looking at this handout 8A. And she is specifically endorsing shame. So we're right down here. And shame fits the facts when you will be rejected by a person or a group that you care about, right? If what you have done is made public. So, Sam, I'm going to check in with you here. Would you have been kicked out of grad school, kicked out of your lab, if you brought forth this information that your professor marked up your paper in red ink?
No, I do not think so.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe emotion mind thinks so, but not wise mind.
I like that clarification. Emotion mind is like, hell yeah. But when we come back and check the facts, and if you were to do some digging and check in with other folks, you'd probably realize I think all grad school students get this kind of feedback from their advisors, and we haven't been kicked out yet, so low likelihood that you get kicked out. Okay, so let's come back here. And she has just figured out that her shame does not fit the facts. And I think, would any shame be justified here, Sam?
I don't think shame.
Okay. So yeah, its intensity also does not fit the facts. So is your emotion justified here?
No, it is not.
Yeah.
It is valid.
It is valid and it is not justified, spot on. So real quick, I'm going to share with you one more document. And I just want for you to take a look at this. Ooh. Okay. So this is where we go with check the facts. This is the top of our decision tree. We've checked the facts and figured out this does not fit the facts. So then we would ask, is acting on shame, and the action to shame is hiding, would this be effective? What do you think, Sam? Is hiding effective here?
No.
No. And so that then tells us what steps are next to change shame. Okay. Any questions? Anything coming up for you, Sam?
I don't think so. I think we are ready to share homework.
All right. Do you have share powers? I'm going to let you share that.
All right. So for homework, we are going to be practicing check the facts by using a catch it, check it, change it journal. And for this, we are going to practice our mindfulness in noticing thoughts that we have throughout the day that kind of kick up our emotions. And we're going to use this sort of layout here to write down what that thought is. And then check the facts. Write down what those facts are. And the way that I like to think about facts is that it is stuff that would be like admissible in a court of law, right? So opinions, no, facts only. And then we will move on to figuring out if our emotion and its intensity is justified. And then from there, we will come up with a new thought that is filled with neutral descriptors. And maybe you can go back and rewatch that mindfulness video about what and how as a reminder on how to do that. And then we will end with a short reflection of this process and notice any changes in emotion as a result.
I love this, and I will share this right underneath this video so you have access to this if you like it as a template. Okay, well, thank you very much, Sam, for being here, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you at the next one.